Awards season is here, all those wonderful grown-up adult dramas are out, and here's me sitting watching a children's film. Happy 2018, guys. New year, new me. First things first, when I first heard about Coco, I was worried that it would step on the toes of a film called The Book of Life, which was an animated film that came out a couple of years ago, exec produced by, I think, Guillermo del Toro, and had loads of really famous Hispanic actors in it. It also concerned someone who goes to the land of the dead for family reasons, and I just thought it would be too similar and I would be annoyed by that. However, I've got to say this film is quite different, both in terms of how it treats that worldview and that sort of religious mythical background, and also in terms of the actual story that it wants to tell, which is quite different. So anyone who came here hoping for a Book of Life dicking on Coco by Disney and Pixar, you're not going to get it. Although thanks for watching The Book of Life, because I don't think anyone apart from me did, so cool. As has come to be expected for Pixar films, and quite rightfully deserved as well, this film is exquisitely well designed. I actually think it surpasses a lot of other Pixar films in that sense. It is just astonishingly beautiful. In particular, whenever we see the Land of the Dead, it's nighttime and it is lit by practical lamps essentially the whole way through the film. You can see a little bit of it in this picture here. It means that there are some sequences in the movie where there are over 1 million points of light. And if you know anything about animation, lighting something like that for animation is an incredibly hard task they do an astonishingly good job of. Not only that, but the character design and animation for those characters is, in some senses, quite different to other characters from Pixar. This is directed by the same guy who did Up, and it also has a dog character in it. And yet Dante and Doug are very different dogs, and the way that they are imbued with their physicality on screen is very different. So this film throughout is just a real testament to the animation and design work that goes on at Pixar. We take it for granted sometimes that Pixar's films are this well designed. I think with the exception of Cars, every film they've made, even including like Monsters University, is super well designed. Even when it's not that great a film, it has this wonderful, consistent art style, and this movie is no exception to the rule. But it really looks quite different to a lot of their other work, mostly because it is set almost entirely at night time. And I think that's a great technical and creative achievement. That's good, because the plot itself is quite forgettable, quite predictable, and to be honest, not their best. I think the problems with the plot of the film, and its predictability in particular, sort of mask some of the more interesting things about the story. Most notably that it is basically a really sustained attempt to teach kids about how to deal with grief and dying. I think that's a really cool thing, and I like that Pixar uses its position of privilege to push films like that talk about quite difficult territory sometimes for people to deal with. Again, because this is directed by Lee Unkrich, who did Up, it's not that much of a surprise, or at least it shouldn't be. After all, that film dealt with infertility as a main plot point in a children's film. That's something we don't even talk about that much in, adult society. So I'm really glad that they're pushing those sorts of boundaries, and also in this case that they are, I think, successful in explaining the way that dying and grief becomes a normal part of human life without being depressing or upsetting for children. Unfortunately, the design and the themes are pretty much the only positive things I have to pick out about the film. I wasn't that impressed with the voice acting. I thought that the characterization was pretty thin, and the plot, like I said, is relatively predictable. But if you're bringing a young one to the cinema, this will hold their interest, and it's a lot more diverting than, the Emoji Movie or something like that. If you've seen Coco, do let me know in the comments down below what you thought of it. I'd love to find out some more perspectives on this film, especially as I'm not Mexican, in case you hadn't noticed. I'd be really interested in seeing what Mexican people thought of this movie, because it did really well over there. It had an astonishingly good box office. So that's it from me. Have a good one, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.